People are measured in many different ways. Some find their niche and make a positive difference in the arena of their choosing. There's no better example of that type of successful life than Vi Stoia, an Aberdeen original and a preeminent promoter of and contributor to his community. To honor this man, the ViTality Awards for Community Service were created.
Well, I first met Vi Stoia in July of 1990 when I came to Aberdeen to interview for a job with EAC.
I went to work for him and he gave me a job.
He personally came up to my office, welcomed me to Aberdeen.
Vi Stoia was a model for me.
As you go through life, you have many parents.
Vi was my mentor.
And as he became a friend, he also became a consultant.
Vi was a servant first, a doer.
A great person to bounce ideas off of.
Vi was an empire builder.
He was just a great man.
I think every city has to have somebody like Vi Stoia.
Though well known as an effective mover and shaker, Vi Stoia preferred a low-key, behind-the-scenes approach to making things happen.
He worked behind the scenes on probably every project in Aberdeen.
From Northeast Mental Health to the development of St. Luke's Medical Center.
He was never afraid to get involved in anything.
He was very quick to sign up.
He was extraordinarily knowledgeable about all things Aberdeen.
Vi would bring up the idea, and that idea would grow and it actually become something, blossom into something that would help the community.
He was a master at gathering people together to discuss an idea or issue. At these meetings, Vi would lean forward in his chair and launch discussion. Then he'd lean back to quietly listen and learn.
He was very good at asking probing questions.
And he would bring up things that nobody else at the meeting knew, or if they knew, didn't make the connection.
Vi had a vision to see the big picture before it ever became a reality.
He wanted to see things get done.
And he knew the steps to take to get to that vision.
He wasn't the kind of guy that laid out an idea and said, what do you think? He laid out an idea and said, how are we going to do this?
If he believed in it, it got done.
Vi Stoia's parents were immigrants from Romania, and they raised 7 children in Aberdeen. Little Virel was born in 1924.
You know, I knew Vi from school. He was 2 years back of me, but he was a West Hill guy and I was a First Avenue rookie.
But we became very close friends those 3 years of high school.
We were from immigrant parents, so we had a lot of things in common.
A lot of people don't recall that he was a referee.
We would go to small towns and officiate their basketball and football games.
And after graduation from Aberdeen Central High School, he joined the rest of his generation fighting 2 foes at once in World War II.
Vi was a Navy man and he was a patriot.
He was in charge of landing the troops in the Philippine Islands. He was a chief petty officer then, and a chief petty officer at his age was unbelievable.
Following military service, he returned home, enrolling at Northern State. Later, he transferred to the University of Minnesota, where he earned a business degree. And then he returned again to Aberdeen to sell insurance, a fortunate decision for his hometown. The former high school senior class president was ready to turn his attention to the real world. Vi Stoia's astonishing roster of accomplishments benefits practically every aspect of the Aberdeen community and many other communities in Northeast South Dakota. He valued regionalism and sought to connect communities through common interests.
He taught us how to think about things regionally.
I was amazed at Vi's knowledge of everything that went on in South Dakota.
But he was particularly interested in northeastern South Dakota and the Aberdeen area.
He had this vision of the Aberdeen region.
He played a big role in starting healthcare facilities, student loan companies, industrial parks, and economic development organizations. He led efforts to improve the community hospital and both of Aberdeen's higher education campuses. The list goes on and on. It is a testimony to a life lived to serve and to thrive. That's what Vi Stoia did. His rumpled winter hat betrayed a keen, alert, and hungry intellect. He read and researched diligently every day, and he regularly made detailed notes and clipped publications for his own files and to share with others.
Vi used to go to the Alexander Mitchell Library and get the newspapers.
I think he read 7 papers every day.
And he clipped articles and pictures and things of interest profusely.
They called him the Mad Clipper.
He was the Edward Scissorhands of Aberdeen.
And every meeting we'd come to, Vi would have a fistful of newspaper clippings.
To say we should maybe look at this.
At the end of every week, he would have his windowsills lined up with envelopes.
And he had them addressed to various people. And when he'd clip an article, he'd put those in there, and when the envelope was full, he'd mail it off.
Vi never shied away from challenges or leadership. He often asked himself, if I don't take the initiative, who will? If I cannot do more, why not? His enthusiasm and optimism were contagious, and he found deep fulfillment identifying real community needs and then working hard to create solutions that satisfied those needs. It's no exaggeration to say that his tireless commitment to his community was incomparable.
Virel was so active in our community. He was in everything.
He was an unselfish person.
And he always put the needs of others first.
He tried to bring back ideas from other cities that worked.
How would this work for Aberdeen? How could we use this?
He gave tirelessly of his time. As you grow older, you realize the value of someone's time.
The cheapest commodity is give money. The most valuable commodity is give your time. I don't know anybody that gave as much time as consistently.
Aberdeen is a much better place for having Vi Stoia.
He happily married, helped raise his own family, and built his own successful businesses too. In 2008, at the age of 84, Vi Stoia passed away. Late in his life, he was asked what compelled his tireless community service. Being a good citizen and contributing to the community was something I learned from my parents, he explained. To them, being a good citizen was duty.
The greatest service a man can give is to mankind.
He's a great man.
He was a man for all times.
I know, I'm glad I knew him.
A great friend.
He motivated people, inspired people to be able to go and do a little bit more.
It was because he made life better for people around him, and that made his life better.
So those of you who wish to follow in Vi's footsteps, give of yourself and be a servant to the people. Amen.
And so the circle for Vi Stoia came complete. We can be proud and grateful that so many in Aberdeen and Northeast South Dakota serve their communities. Vi Stoia's spirit lives on in them and through the ViTality program. By his example, Vi showed us how to lead and how to serve. He exemplified positive community service, and his service to all of us continues to enrich our lives.